if a player does something bad, a drop pass or something, they start yelling, "Fire the coach." I think he's feeling a little embattled.
So this dismal opening series for the Lions continues. 3rd and 14. Ball pushed back to the 20. Majkowski in trouble. Slings it complete to Johnny Morton. But Morton well short of the first down, and the Lions will punt on their very first possession.
Watch the inside. It's going to be interesting to watch these two guys in the middle here and here, Cortez Kennedy and the Sam Adams. They put a lot of pressure. See Sam Adams coming through, makes Majkowski move and dodge. Can't set up to throw it.
Mark Royals, the punter for Detroit. And Ronnie Harris takes it for Seattle at the 31, gets it to 36, a return of 5 yards after a 46-yard punt by Mark Royals. So here comes John Friesz, and Seattle's fortunes have turned around since he took over for quarterback Rick Meyer. He's got a 4-1 record as the starter. Lamar Smith gets the start for the injured Chris Warren today. Warren, of course, bruised the knee in practice, and it's a question mark on how much he will play today. Galloway and Prohl, the wide receivers, as Brian Blades is inactive today. He's got a separated shoulder. Pete Kendall, the outstanding rookie, at left guard. And there is a look at Warren. He's also had a sore ankle. The first play from scrimmage for Seattle. Friesz has a first down into Detroit territory. Brian Blades makes the tackle.
Carlester Crumpler made a very nice catch here. Very good throw by John Friesz.
Crumpler with the reception, and Detroit's front four. This has been a banged-up defensive unit all season long. Porcher, Thomas Ellis, along with Kerwin Waldrop, the rookie, gets the start for the injured Tracy Scroggins. Linebackers London, the veteran Pepper Johnson, along with a rookie Reggie Brown, McNeil and Raymond the corners, Van Malone and Benny Blades, the brother of Brian Blades, the starters at safety. The pitch to Lamar Smith, and Smith in the clear in Detroit secondary very quickly. He's got himself another first down. So the Seahawks, 2 quick strikes, 1 to Crumpler and 1 to Smith.
They pitched the ball to Smith, coming to the right side of the left side of the screen. Just simply opens the hole. The pursuit doesn't get there in time, and he makes a substantial gain there.
Lamar Smith, a career-high 90 yards in 15 attempts last week with a touchdown as he filled in for Warren, who's been a little banged up.
Lamar's averaging over 5 yards a carry.
Smith with another carry close to the 25-yard line. You're right, Bart. Chris Warren came into the ballgame averaging 3.9 yards a carry, but it's Smith coming in with a 5.3 yard per carry average as you take a look at Warren, who's got 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons. That streak will be snapped this year.
Lamar Smith has made the statement that he feels he's the best backup running back in the business, and that if he were at just about any other team, he would have a substantial and legitimate shot at starting.
2nd down and 8. Seattle with a 4 wide receiver set. The handoff to Smith. Smith with more running room inside the 20-yard line. Seattle had a season-high 452 yards last week against Minnesota, Bart, and if this keeps up, they're going to approach that number this week.
The offensive line does a good job of getting into the blocks, maintaining them. The guys, defensive players, cannot get off their blocks until you get until there's a substantial gain by Lamar Smith.
John Teerling, defensive line coach.
It's like John Teerling, sorry, starting to sweat there. Shirt's getting a little wet.
Well, that was on 3rd and short. Lamar Smith seemingly picked up the first down, but there's a look at John Teerling, summoned to the NFL offices earlier this month for, well, I guess some people thought that the tactics of his defensive linemen were less than within the rules of the NFL.
His players say he's one of the more intense guys, players and coaches on this team. His shirt will be completely soaking by the end of this game, and he is so intense, probably because he can't be on the field and he wishes he were.
Smith does pick up the first down, so a 1st and 10 for Seattle. Broussard is the running back, and he gets his first carry, and the Seahawks continue to rip off good gains about on each play.
you're seeing the offensive line for Seattle Seahawks are starting to develop some continuity. Coach Erickson told us yesterday that he likes the way his offensive line is playing. Simple draw play. Basically have the guys just staying on their blocks for the most part, and you're getting some good yardage on first down, which allows Seattle to do what they want to do on the rest of the downs on the second and third downs.
Two backs in now behind Friesz, Oscar Gray, and Lamar Smith. And Smith up the middle, and he's got another Seattle first down, I believe. Brought down by Luther Ellis of Detroit. So Seattle on the march on Wayne Fontz's team early.
Coach Fontz told us that it's important for his team to get out to a fast start. They're not doing it right now. They're allowing Seattle to get down in there. They're well in field goal, or at least in scoring position. And it's important for this team because their psyche is so fragile. This is a team that's not like past teams where they've made those second half comebacks and they've been able to win games later in the season. This is a team that won earlier, but injuries have happened at key positions, and they just haven't been able to develop the continuity that they wanted to develop to go into that second half of the season. And you can tell it in the locker room. You just feel it amongst the players.
Well, just short of the first down. It has not been a good first quarter for the Seahawks all season long, as you can see how much they've been outscored, but they've been successful here on their very first series. Third and about a half foot. Ninth play of this drive. And they give it to Smith, and Smith will pick up the first down. It'll be first and goal for Seattle as Smith stretches inside the 5-yard line. He got a good block up front by Derek Graham, the right guard.
It's a positive sign for Seattle. The last few weeks, while they have been winning, their third down efficiency has been very poor. Last week, for example, they were only 13%, even though they blew Minnesota out. So they're converting third downs here early in the first quarter. It's a good sign for Seattle, a bad sign for Detroit.
They're also proving they can run the ball without Chris Warren. Lamar Smith has 7 carries already for 39 yards. Why not give it to him again? 8th carry of this series for Lamar Smith, and he picks up another 3 or 4 yards. Down close to the 1-yard line.
If you watch these guys up front here, you'll see they get on their guys, and there's just a surge. Now, it's not dominating, but here, down inside the 5-yard line, 3 yards is big.
Second down and goal.
Detroit's in their goal line.
Lamar Smith, this time the defensive line pins him, but flags have come in. That's the first time that the Lions defense has any kind of surge going. That one led by Robert Porcher along with Luther Ellis, but Larry Nemmers will tell us what the flag indicates.
Porcher, who has had a very, very good year to date.
Holding. 66 offense. 5-yard face mask. 91 defense. Penalties offset. Repeat second down.
Offsetting penalties. Pete Kendall gets the hold and the face mask call against Porcher of Detroit, so offsetting penalties.
Pete Kendall should send Robert Porcher a note after the game and thank him for that infraction. As a rookie, I mean, it's tough enough to be in there. You don't want to make mistakes down on the goal line, particularly a holding call in that situation. Having it offset is a very big plus for Pete Kendall.
So here we go again, second down and goal from the 1. And Lamar Smith will try the left side and just coasts in untouched for the touchdown.
I think that hole was for Detroit. For a Mack truck. Mack truck could have driven through that one.
And if there's any doubt, Bart, if the Seahawks running game will survive today without Chris Warren, it was proved on that drive. 9 carries for 47 yards for Lamar Smith, including the 1-yard touchdown, untouched.
From the end zone, simple sweep, handed off to Lamar Smith. Dan, you or I could have scored a touchdown on that play.
In is Todd Peterson to provide the point after. And if things could get any worse for the Detroit Lions, already on a 4-game losing skid, they just did. If this is any indication of how this game will go, it'll be a walk all afternoon for Seattle. 6:40 left in the opening quarter. From Pontiac, Michigan, and the story of that drive, Lamar Smith. The Seahawks, of those 11 plays, 10 were runs. The only pass was the opening play. 9 runs by Lamar Smith, 1 by Broussard, and that was just too easy, Bart.
They weren't long runs either. They were just runs that were just getting down the field from 10 yards, 4 yards, just pacing it down the field. Detroit cannot allow these guys to do that.
Todd Peterson to kick off for Seattle with a 7-0 lead. And Glenn Milburn again back deep for Detroit, this time from the 3. Straight up the field over the 20 and the 30. Good return by Milburn up to the 38-yard line. A former Stanford star and former Denver Bronco with a good return brought down by Fred Thomas. It's about the only highlight so far for these beleaguered Lions. His best year was 1989 when he went to the Pro Bowl for the Green Bay Packers. And he has since had rotator cuff surgery in 1990, and he told us yesterday, Bart, that he really has not been the same quarterback ever since that surgery after the Pro Bowl season.
Exactly. You mentioned his shoulder took a long time to come back. He was there in Green Bay, and his shoulder did come back, but he went out and he got Brett Favre. Brett was playing well, and he's struggled to find a place.
Well, there is Scott Mitchell, who missed the Green Bay game a couple of weeks ago with the injured ribs and had to leave last week's game against San Diego during the first drive of the second half after re-injuring the ribs. So the Magic Man is in again, his second start in the Lions uniform. Barry Sanders trying to work his magic, and he gets close to the 40-yard line. He ran about 15 yards for a gain of about 1.5 yards.
Barry Sanders makes some spectacular runs, and you look at him, and he's only picked up 1 yard or 2. They did a great job just to prevent from losing 3 or 4 yards on that play.
We mentioned 152 yards away from becoming the first player with 8 straight 1,000-yard seasons. Amazingly, his teammate with the Buffalo Bills and with Oklahoma State, Thurman Thomas, also has a chance at that same milestone this season. He's just a little bit behind his former Cowboy running mate. And here's Sanders right up the middle, and that's something that Wayne Fox also indicated to us, Bart, that they try to get the ball in the hands of Barry Sanders a little bit more. Well, let's take our first scoring update. Head to New York and Greg Gumbel. Greg?
All right, Dan, the NFL's #1 offense is right at work in Foxborough. Denver's John Elway over the middle to Terrell Davis. He'll complete a 15-yard touchdown. Then the defense intercepted Drew Bledsoe. Davis went 10 yards for his second TD of the afternoon. Just like that, the Broncos 14, New England nothing. Dan?
All right, thank you, Greg. Seattle with an early 7-0 lead here on 3rd down. Majkowski back to pass for the Lions and over the head of Herman Moore, and nearly picked off by Seattle in the secondary by Robert Blackman, and here come the boos again. The Lions are punting.
Majkowski dropping back, feeling a little pressure from the outside from Michael Sinclair, throwing on the run with his arm. Just doesn't have the accuracy to hit Herman Moore, who's an former ACC high jump champion.
2 sputtering offensive series for Detroit. Ronnie Harris from the 17-yard line gets it up to the 23-yard line, and Detroit will hope for better things after Seattle's opening cakewalk for the opening touchdown. Home games leading into this one, but look at the travel the Seahawks have made earlier in the year. Tampa Bay, 2,500-mile trip. Miami, they will head to Jacksonville later on in the season. This is the first time that an NFL team has gone to all 3 Florida cities in the same season.
Now you take all those miles and you double it because they got to get home.
That's right. It's a round trip for Dennis Erickson and the Seahawks. So far, Chris Warren has not played. Again, a bruised knee in practice. But with the way Lamar Smith has been running and Seattle's offense has been hitting on all cylinders, they may rest him the entire game.
Of course, Dennis Erickson does like Florida. It's been good to him.
Wide open, but John Friesz unable to hit Ricky Prohl. Ricky Prohl was wide open. Friesz took a pop after he was unable to connect with Prohl, who is starting for Brian Blades today again.
It looked like Ricky stumbled a little bit coming out of his break and didn't quite get to the spot where John and Ricky were throwing the ball. They worked together quite a bit in the preseason, so their timing, because they were both working with the second team, so their timing seems to be pretty good, and Ricky has been a go-to guy for John.
Last week, Prohl caught 6 balls for 95 yards as Blades was out. And the pitch, this time Lamar Smith avoids one tackler, and he'll lose a yard, and Detroit's defense rises to the occasion. Henry Thomas, number 98, along with Kerwin Waldrop up there to bring Smith down. Waldrop again starting for Tracy Scroggins, who re-injured his ankle last week.
Luther Ellis is the guy that makes the penetration, causes Lamar Smith to make a cut, throws the timing of the play off. Kerwin Waldrop, Henry Thomas come in and mop up.
So on 3rd down and 11, Steve Broussard is in the backfield again for Seattle. They also have 3 wideouts. And John Friesz will take a timeout.
John didn't like what he saw.
Timeout.
Detroit's got their nickel package in there.
4:01 left in the first quarter. Seattle with the 7-0 lead off their impressive opening drive. January 24th, 1982, Super Bowl 16 was played here at the Silverdome. The only time it was played here, the 49ers and Joe Montana downed the Bengals by a final score of 26-21. It was the 49ers' first Super Bowl title, and of course, Montana was the MVP, but there are new digs in store for the Lions and the Tigers. An artist's rendering of Detroit's new stadium project, 65,000-seat stadium, the football stadium on the left, and new Tiger Stadium on the right. The voters approved the new football stadium in the recent election, Bart, but Paul Tagliabue, the NFL commissioner, promised the Lions a Super Bowl if they got the approval done in the election, and it's expected to take place officially in the year, what, 2005?
2005 they're supposed to have it here. It's going to be 15,000 seats smaller than this stadium here in Pontiac.
3rd down, 11 for Seattle. Friesz to the air. That one batted away by Ryan McNeil. McNeil with a good play, batted it away from Joey Galloway, and Seattle will have to punt, but there is a flag in the backfield, and we'll hear again from Nemmers.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer, number 98. 15-yard penalty. First
How
down.
about that for picking up an automatic first down?
You would definitely call that an untimely penalty.
Henry Thomas. What do you think of that?
Oh boy, you know, maybe the official's trying to make a statement early in the game. Henry should not have touched him. Shouldn't have touched him. The ball was way gone. It's not like he was trying to.
And, you know, the Lions, especially John Tierling, thinks that some of the officials are after Detroit, quicker to call penalties because Tierling was summoned to the NFL offices about the techniques of some of his defensive linemen. So maybe there is a point there.
Maybe they're trying to make a statement.
So an automatic first down for the Seahawks. Lamar Smith on first down, close to another one, fumbles the football.
Lamar fumbles the ball, trying to fight for some extra yards.
And there's the indication from Nemmers. It is 2nd down. It'll be Seattle's ball and a gain of 7 or 8.
Enough Seattle Seahawks around to fall on that loose ball.
Atkins, the left tackle, it appeared, recovered it after the fumble by Smith.
Good cut back by Lamar Smith. There's nothing onside. He cuts back to the right. The ball, you see, pops out.
Fumble caused there, Bart, by Greg Jeffries, who knifed in on Smith. But the Seahawk drive stays alive. Smith with another carry, spinning his way close to another first down. Henry Thomas on the stop for Detroit. Lamar Smith, a 3rd-round draft pick out of Houston back in '94, does pick up the first down. He is a different kind of runner than Chris Warren.
Chris Warren is a fluid, slashing type runner. Lamar Smith is going to make some moves. He'll make a cut here and there. He's probably a little more power than Chris. but they complement each other very well.
From the 47, Seattle already with a 7-0 lead, and the play action to Smith. Friesz whirls it right into the hands. It is intercepted by Detroit. That is Ryan Stewart with the pick. And that's exactly what John Friesz has avoided since he took over the starting job from Rick Meyer, but that right into the hands of Stewart, and he picks up his first interception of his career. He's the rookie out of Georgia Tech.
Good play. Friesz is back there. The play action pass. He throws it. It's hard to tell who he's throwing it to. You don't see any white shirts. He does get pressure from Robert Porcher right after he throws the ball. See Porcher coming right around his waist. He's not down on his knees, but he hits him low enough that causes the quarterback concern. They don't like guys hitting them below their shoulders.
So Majkowski goes to work in Seattle territory, and that'll be a gain of 5 to the 44-yard line. Pass complete to Pete Metzelaars.
Pete Metzelaars has been around a long time
and has played more games, Bart, at tight end than any other player in NFL history, past the former Bengal and Lion Rodney Holman earlier this year, and a former third-round pick of the Seattle Seahawks back in '82. He played with the Seahawks from the '82 to the '84 season.
And played with the Buffalo Bills.
Barry Sanders, nothing going there, trying to juke his way inside the 45.
Seattle's doing a good job thus far of stringing Barry Sanders out, keeping containment. All their guys are hustling to the ball. They're preventing cutback lanes to open up and allow Barry Sanders to squirt through.
Well, there's the defensive improvement this season. The first 5 games, the last 5. 8 interceptions, Bart, in the last 5 games as opposed to 1 in the first 5 games. So the defense has played a big part in this resurgent Seahawk team. Majkowski, he's got Herman Moore close to the 40-yard line. That'll still bring up 4th down, and Detroit will have to punt because they're still beyond Jason Hansen's range.
Majkowski's feeling a lot of heat from that front 4 from Seattle. One of the biggest improvements of this team is their sack totals and the pressure that they've been putting on quarterbacks. Those 2 inside guys have been pushing. The outside guys with McCrary and Sinclair have been doing a good job of getting up the field. And that has shown an increased improvement in the defensive statistics.
Mark Royals tries to pin the Seahawks down, and they can't get it done. They had a swarm of special teams players there, and no one was able to touch the football before it bounded in. So Seattle will get a break there and start 1st and 10 from the 20-yard line with 29 seconds left in the first quarter. Next Saturday at the special time of 12:30 Eastern Time, the tradition of Notre Dame football continues on NBC Sports. Lou Holtz goes for his 100th win in what could be, speculation is that this is Lou Holtz's final 11th season at Notre Dame, and he goes for his 100th win. It will be his final home game if he does indeed step down, as everyone expects him to. That's Rutgers and Notre Dame next Saturday at 12:30 Eastern Time, right here on NBC. So the Lions 3 and out on their 3 possessions, and Seattle not as successful on their second possession previously. They do have the 7-0 lead, and Lamar Smith with another first down run. Across the 30 to the 32-yard line. Benny Blades finally made the stop on Lamar Smith, but 12 carries and 63 yards by Lamar Smith early as we wind down the final seconds of the first quarter.
They're giving Lamar Smith a lot of work. The offensive line is doing a good job of getting on the blocks, staying on those blocks, and opening some lanes for Lamar.
First quarter in the books from Pontiac, Michigan. It has been all Seattle, and you might hear the boos in the background as we go to break. Benny Blades, the strong safety for the Detroit Lions, he's a little banged up, but even hurting more is his brother on the sidelines for Seattle. Brian Blades, they were drafted the same year back in '88. Brian Blades unable to play for the second straight week for Seattle with a separated shoulder, but Brian did his best. going to try to play miraculously when the doctor said it would be at least 4 to 6 weeks, and it was a game-time decision that he didn't play today right before the game.
Yep, he wanted it. He was pushing for it. He was rooting for it, but just couldn't make it. Smart. They made a smart decision.
The Seahawks just continuing to rip big gain after big gain on the ground, and doing all of the work is Lamar Smith again. He gets the first down carry for another 6-7 yards. 72 rushing yards so far for Seattle. As you take a look at Bob Majkowski, he's taking the drink there, feeling comfortable after watching his team march up and down the field.
Well, his offensive play calling has been fairly simple, and until Detroit stops him, I think they will continue running inside the tackles and outside the tackles.
That was a gain of 5 for Smith. The reverse, Joey Galloway. Galloway turns the corner and is just pasted just past the first down marker as a penalty flag comes in. I believe that was Reggie Brown who put the hit on Joey Galloway on the reverse.
Reggie Brown, the first-round draft choice out of Texas A&M, does a good job of hitting Joey Brown. Joey Galloway, rather.
Defense number 36, 15-yard face mask.
That is on Benny Blades. Face mask, 15 yards.
It happens away from the play as well. Joey Galloway is very dangerous in the open field. Great speed. Reggie Brown does a good job. And away from the play, you see him coming top of your screen there, trying to get off a blocker, and he grabs the face mask to try to get off the blocker. Officials see it, and they flag him for a personal foul and puts him in a hole. They're now inside having to defend their own territory again.
At the 42. Friesz to Galloway, and Galloway complete at the 36-yard line. Corey Raymond made the stop on Galloway. Galloway has been a hot receiver for Seattle the past 2 games, 8 catches each the last 2 games.
John Friesz takes 3 steps and throws it. The timing route makes the completion. They give him a little confidence. Detroit's cornerbacks have been playing off the receivers. Last week against San Diego, they were giving them a huge cushion. They've got a substantial cushion now. They don't have a lot of speed, so they have to respect speedy wide receivers. And Joey Galloway is one of them.
Lamar Smith with a nice cut back again to the left. Nothing was going to the right. He stopped in his tracks, a little Barry Sanders-esque, and picks up the first down. Nice run by Lamar Smith.
On the backside, which is over here, they wash everybody down, and Lamar Smith wants to go this way, but cuts back to the left. You've got to keep backside containment. There's nobody back there. Antonio London loses containment. They get a good game.
Lamar Smith could be on his way to a 100-yard game before the completion of the first half. He already has 75 yards on 14 carries. Seahawks just get the play off. And why not try Lamar Smith again? This time he's hit at the 26-yard line. Good hit by Pepper Johnson, the 11-year veteran.
Pepper
Got a couple of Super Bowl rings with the Giants.
Pepper Johnson, a real good guy. I want you to watch the center here come out, and he will pull. He'll pull around, and he'll try to get Pepper, but Pepper looks like he comes around, and he throws at Pepper, but Pepper makes a nice play, and he takes Lamar Smith.
Pepper Johnson out of football when the Lions signed him just before their final exhibition game this season. He takes a breather on the sidelines.
Looks like it's an unhappy breather.
And the delay to Lamar Smith up to the 25-yard line. Lions smelled it out rather quickly. The rookie out of Central State, Kerwin Waldrop, makes the stop on Lamar Smith. Jim Eddy, the defensive coordinator for the Lions. He has been he's had a hard time of it this year. His team has been banged up. Last week was the first time all season that the listed starters on defense actually started the same game. So in defense, they have been banged up. 3rd and 7 for Seattle.
It hurts the continuity of a team when you're putting guys in and out of there and not letting the same guys play together.
Friesz with time. Hollister Cooper can't get his hands on it. Flags come in all over the place. Benny Blades on the coverage, and that might be an interference call on Blades. He doesn't like it.
Now Benny was on tight.
John Friesz gets up a little gingerly after being
Defensive
dropped.
pass interference. Number 36. Automatic first down.
So far, Detroit is just when they haven't been able to stop them, they've been making the penalties. Friesz gets some pressure. Detroit has been putting some pressure on them. Grabs Kerwin Waldrop, grabs Friesz around the ankles and pulls him down. Looks like he might twist his knee a little bit. He's still limping up there to the line of scrimmage.
Penalties have been huge, Bart, on this drive for Seattle. Look at already 4 for 46. The Seahawks have yet to be penalized. Big gains on a face mask. Lamar Smith with another big gain close to the 5-yard line. "17 carries, 87 yards for Lamar Smith. Career high 90 yards last week against Minnesota. Chris Warren has not stepped onto the field today.
It probably won't. If you got your running back, healthy one out there, run the ball well, you're making some positive gains. You're not going to bring in the guy, even though he is your guy. You're not going to bring him in because he's injured. Give him a chance to heal.
Second down and a long 2. Seattle can pick up a first down before they score. Friesz, left side, Crumpler. On a play that really never developed. Blades was on the coverage of Crumpler. Carlister Crumpler is now the tight end since Christian Fourier is out. Fourier broke his left leg last week in the 4th quarter. So the Seahawks a little banged up as well on offense, and their coach injury away from really having a depth problem.
You're missing your wide receiver. You're missing your tight end. You've got both your starting backs out there. So the skill positions, you don't have them in there, but they're lucky enough because they got depth in Lamar Smith and Ricky Prohl. You got guys that are stepping up and making big plays.
3rd and 2 from the 6 for Seattle. Friesz, again Crumpler, thrown to the wrong side of his body. He really had never a chance to haul that in. Friesz twisted him around. That'll bring up 4th down and the field goal unit for Dennis Erickson.
Normally you would say that if the guy can touch the ball, that he should be able to catch it. In this situation, when you got the 3-step drop, Friesz fires the ball. It's difficult, I mean very difficult, to make that adjustment to turn around and catch a ball. It's not like you have a long pass in the open field where you've got time to make the adjustment. This is one where the ball needs to be at a particular position.
Todd Peterson for a 24-yarder. He splits the uprights, and he is 16 of 20 on the season. So the Seahawks continue to move the ball almost at will on Detroit and have upped their lead to 10-0. Dan Hicks with Bart Oates. A look at defensive coach John Teerling, defensive line coach for Detroit, trying to charge up his troops as Seattle has run all over them today. And a good return by Glenn Milburn across the 30 and the 40, finally brought down at the 44-yard line. So Milburn has been one of the bright spots for Detroit today. Oscar Gray of Seattle finally brought him down, but Detroit will start again in excellent field position.
Exactly, Dan. One of the positives of this Detroit team the last couple of weeks has been their return teams, in particular kickoff return. Milburn is a guy that has been proven to make some nice cuts. Just keeps running north and south. He's a slashing runner, makes a cut, and then continues running. We've got the special teams coach there. He's got David Arnold, who has to like that.
Well, Detroit's in a 2-back set. Corey Schlesinger ahead of Barry Sanders. That gives Barry a little bit more room to work with on the outside. And that is vintage Barry Sanders, turning in what appeared to be a short gain or no gain and ripping it around the corner for the first down.
Here's impressive. Watch the legs of Barry Sanders. He drives, he keeps them moving, he cuts, always moving. Gets their first down. Here's a guy that's impressive. He knows the team is struggling. He says, all right, I've got to take the load of the team. I'm not getting the holes, but I'm going to make something happen. Does a great job there.
Very first down, as you mentioned, Bart, for the Lions. It comes with 9:17 left in the first half, and again the 2-back offense. The fake to Berry this time. Majkowski in trouble, and down he goes as the Seahawks get their first sack of the game, and that is turned in by the Cortez Kennedy.
Good pressure by Cortez. Comes in there. It's interesting, they run it 2 back, but up front, the offensive linemen, they were pointing. Whenever you get the offensive line, watch Kevin Glover point, if you can see it here. He'll point here, going that way. But he did earlier. That's a signal that they're going to throw the ball. They're just getting the protection. So it didn't really fool anybody, didn't look like.
Second down and long now. Majkowski has time. It is complete to Johnny Morton. Morton well short of the first down. That'll bring up third down. And we'll take another scoring update. Head to New York and Greg Gumbel.
All right, Dan, at Jacksonville, the Steelers beginning to feel their oats in the second quarter. Mike Tomczak, 12-yard touchdown pass to a diving Yancey Thigpen in the end zone. Steelers have just recovered a Jacksonville fumble inside the 5 and have just scored again. It's 13-0 Pittsburgh now in the second quarter, Dan.
All right, Greg, Seattle with a 10-0 lead here. On third down, Majkowski fires. Is it complete? No, incomplete. Johnny Morton didn't catch it. Very close to the AstroTurf, but it's incomplete, and Mark Royals will come on again to punt for the Lions.
Johnny tried to make a good catch there. Tried to pick the ball up off the turf. Didn't quite get it.
Tough to tell from that angle, but Royals floats a good long punt. Wanted to pin Seattle back deep, but he's disappointed in that effort. 7:46 left to the half. Seahawks in command. Well, you can see the time of possession advantage for Seattle in this game. It has been a good run for Dennis Erickson and the Seahawks. They are looking for their first 4-game winning streak since the '86 season. Longest winning streak they're looking for in 10 years today with a win. Friesz swings it out to Broussard. And Broussard switches gears, gets it across the 25-yard line. Good gain for Broussard. Brought down by Waldrop.
Seattle comes in with 4 wide receivers. Open up Detroit's defense. They simply dump it off to Broussard, who is a very good pass receiver. Good in the open field. They've got the screen going with Kevin Mawai leading. Broussard makes a good cut.
Just the 4th catch all season for Broussard.
Broussard had some good plays last week against Minnesota. They've got a complement of 3 good running backs, and they've contributed to this team.
Gain of 6 for Broussard, and they let Lamar Smith try to pick up the first down. He will be short. As the clock continues to roll, and probably, Bart, the Lions are fortunate that they're not down by more with the dominance that Seattle has displayed so far.
Yardage, time of possession, you're right. It could easily be more if it weren't for the interception by Friesz. Detroit's defense needs to step up and stop them here. You notice a lot of the third downs thus far today have been very short third downs, which is good for Seattle. It's easier to convert those short third downs. Got movement over there by Atkins, it looks like. Looked like either left guard or left tackle had some movement.
False start, offense, number 74, 5-yard penalty.
Atkins has
Still
been acquiring the penalties. 3 holding calls last week on Atkins, and then he moves prematurely there.
Well, watch Atkins, the top of your screen. You watch the head, you see that movement there. He brought it up, brought it back down real quick. A good shot. You can see that head movement. He's improving a little bit. Last week they were holding calls for 10 yards. At least that's only a 5-yarder.
Instead of 3rd and 2, 3rd and 7 for Friesz. Pumps once, twice, in and out of the arms of Ricky Prohl, and Seattle will punt. So that not a good series at all for Seattle. Ryan Stewart on the coverage for Detroit.
Seattle's run defense has not done the job yet, but Seattle's pass defense has done a good job. They've pressured the quarterback a little bit, and the defensive backs have been there to break up passes. They're doing a pretty good job thus far today.
So Rick Tootin into punt for Seattle at the 10-yard line, and Glenn Milburn, who has been impressive as the return man for the Lions, back at his 28. Tootin can boom him. This one rather low, but drives Milburn back to the 22. And another good return by Milburn. Finally forced out of bounds at the 42-yard line. Some activity on the far sidelines as a flag comes in.
Somebody was a little too aggressive there. A low punt is not what you want when you have a Glenn Milburn back there. Glenn Milburn is standing back there. You want to get the ball high so he doesn't have the chance to return it. And they didn't do it right there.
Visa presents.
A look at Scott Mitchell watching from the sidelines. He was yanked from the quarterback position earlier this year by Wayne Fonts. Don Majkowski filling in for him today, being chased and finally throwing the football away. Well, next Saturday at 4 o'clock Eastern Time, don't miss the World Cup of Golf coming your way from Cape Town, South Africa. Steve Jones, the U.S. Open champion, Tom Lehman, the Player of the Year, as well as the British Open champion, take on the likes of the world's best, including Bernhard Langer. Woosnam will be there, Ernie Els. The U.S. team has captured the last 4 titles. Davis Love III and Fred Couples have accomplished that, but that's the World Cup of Golf next Saturday and Sunday right here on NBC. Detroit has had good starting position in their 4 previous drives, averaging starting at the 38-yard line as Brett Perriman hauls in, I believe, his very first catch of the game. So they've had good field position to deal with, especially after an interception thrown by Friesz earlier, but they haven't been able to do anything with it.
Have not. Don Majkowski gets good protection here from his offense. Throws the ball to Brett.
That'll bring up
Seattle's
third down.
there to make the tackle and prevent any running afterwards. Brett Perriman's a very good player at running with the ball after the catch. Wayne Font said he's the best on the team at running with it after he makes the catch.
He's the Lions' career leader with 390 catches. Majkowski stands in, complete, first down, and it's Brett Perriman, back-to-back receptions for the 9-year veteran.
This is what Detroit needs. They need somebody to step up and make a play. Majkowski hits Brett Perriman for a couple of plays. They're standing there 3 together. Brett Perriman delays a little bit, kind of gets lost in the shuffle, catches the ball, makes a decent run afterwards. Majkowski has the time to sit up there and throw.
First and 10. Ball at the 34-yard line of the Seahawks. Barry Sanders juking right, getting a good gain up close to the 30-yard line. Brought down by Corey Harris. Six carries for 19 yards for Sanders, and it's when they get behind that you don't see Barry Sanders utilized as much as a lot of people think he should.
It's hard. It's hard to throw the ball.
But
Joe Nash is in there, the 15-year veteran. Guy that call him Lazarus.
3 wideouts to the near side for Majkowski. Waits, throws, incomplete. He wanted Perriman. A flag comes in on the coverage. Was Robert Blackman.
Blackman was a little aggressive there. Was not going to give Perriman an easy catch.
Number 25. Automatic first.
And he gets flagged for the interference call, so that's a key penalty against Seattle.
Detroit's starting to make a few plays. Starting to put some plays together.
Dennis Erickson's team penalized 13 times for 98 yards last week. That was about the only sore point that he could point out in a 42-23 victory over the Minnesota Vikings. But the Lions on the march here, a first and 10 inside the 20.
When you score that many points, it's hard to have too many sore points.
See what Barry Sanders can do here. Sanders runs into his own man, but gets it down close to the 12-yard line with 3:18 and counting left in the opening half. Barry Sanders over the 11,000-yard mark last week. That is the 9th most yards in NFL history. And there are The 7 consecutive 1,000-yard rushing seasons turned in by Sanders and Thomas, and both with a chance to make it 8 straight this season. Sanders running left, and he's going to get in for the touchdown.
Good job by the front line of Detroit, giving him an opening. He's the type of guy, when he sees it, he will accelerate through. He's not known. Barry's not known as a guy with that great blazing speed when he gets in the open field. But when he sees a little cushion, when he sees a lane, he's going to accelerate up the field, and it's hard to stop. Good job by blocking on Johnny Morton there.
Barry Sanders, career touchdown number 87. And that is Ray Roberts, who is walking off the field very slowly. He's the left tackle, the former Seahawk, up front for Detroit.
Ray's had a bad ankle, and he's been a little banged up, and Coach Funtz has been nursing his tackles. Both he and Zephyrus Moss have been a little banged up, but they've done a good job when they've had to. 4
years with the Seahawks before coming over to the Lions as an unrestricted free agent. Ray Roberts, Jason Hansen adds the extra point. And with 2:46 left in the half, the Detroit Lions are very fortunate to only be down by 3, 10-7 after Barry gets in. Just took it in from 11 yards out. Last week, only 51 yards for Barry Sanders on 16 carries. He's got half as many carries so far in this game, 8 for 38 yards, as Jason Hansen kicks off for Detroit. Steve Broussard from 2 yards deep in his own end zone. Cuts across the left side of the field. Gets it close to the 20. Big game in Foxborough today. Let's get an update on that one from Greg in New York.
And Dan, here's how you can tell it's your day. Terrell Davis takes the handoff, drops it, bounces it, picks it up, dives 2 yards for the touchdown. His 3rd TD of the day, his 10th of the season. 21-0. Denver leading New England. About 4.5 to play first half. Dan?
Thank you very much, Greg. Boy, it looks like the Broncos are making a strong case in the AFC as the Super Bowl team. What a year that would be if John Elway at age 36 can get back to the Super Bowl with the Broncos for the first time since 1989.
Not a lot of people gave him a shot at doing it. Mike Shanahan has done a very good job.
Seahawks begin this drive just inside their own 20, and surging ahead is Lamar Smith. Dead to rights, close to the line of scrimmage.
Seattle's standing in the AFC West they're 5-5. However, Dan, they're only 1-4 in the division. In the last 5 years, they're 8-29 in that division. If you can't get out of your division, you're not going to be successful, because the best you can do is a wild card team on the road.
Lamar Smith gets the carry again on 2nd yard and short. 2nd down and short as we hit the 2-minute warning. He's got close to 100 yards with a lot of football left. Day night when things got a little bit confusing for the Lions, Bart. They were playing at San Diego. The Chargers with the Hail Mary from Stan Humphries to Andre Coleman. They had put in Herman Moore,
the high jump specialist.
but Coleman comes up with it. The Chargers go up 17-14 and go on to beat the Lions 27-21. Wayne Fonts and the whole Detroit coaching staff got a lot of criticism for that, because there was also 12 men on the field. There was a penalty called and they declined it.
And Ryan McNeil was back there. Ryan McNeil was right there. Instead of batting the ball away, he tried to intercept the ball. His job was to bat the ball away. He missed the interception and went right through him, through his hands, and was caught by San Diego for the touchdown, which was eventually the difference in the game. as far as points go.
Steve Broussard has replaced Lamar Smith in the backfield for Seattle. 1st and 10 from their own 31. By the way, Lamar Smith has 100 yards on 20 carries. And Broussard hauls in another pass close to another 1st down. The clock continues to roll, 1:49 left. 2 timeouts remain for Seattle.
Seattle's in a hurry-up offense.
All 3 remain for Detroit.
Friesz is signaling.
And that was 94 Luther Ellis, who came barreling across the line. Was he drawn off? Perhaps by the right guard, Derek Graham.
He's pointing at Graham.
Let's wait and see what Nemmers.
Seattle is clapping.
Encroachment, defense number 94.
Oh,
5-yard penalty
Ellis came
will result in the 1st down.
across the line of scrimmage. And that will pick up the 1st down for Seattle.
In a 2-minute situation, you go on the same count each time. Luther gets a little quick on the start. He doesn't quite have that cadence down, but as you watch as they continue this 2 minutes, he'll probably get that cadence down, be off the ball fairly quick. He's having a good year inside. He was outside.
Report is coming up. A couple of quality games in the second half of our doubleheader today. Most of you will see Baltimore and San Francisco as Joey Galloway hauls it in close to midfield. The 49ers playing the Baltimore Ravens today, Bart, and without the services of Steve Young. I know you were a good friend and a teammate of his in San Francisco, and there's all this concussion talk about Steve Young lately as Carlister Crumpler hauls it in for the 1st down for Seattle.
They get the 1st down there. Lee Steinberg came out last week
Timeout. Seattle. That's their
and said
second
that Steve should sit back at the end of the season and consider what consequences. Is it going to be a permanent effect? If it is, then maybe he should get out of the game. He also announced that he's gotten engaged. He went public with that information. I'm sure that his family is particularly happy about that.
Well, Seattle uses its 2nd timeout, so the Seahawks with 1 timeout left, 1:06 remaining in the half. They have the 10-7 lead. John Friesz discussing things with the Seattle Brain Trust. And speaking of that 49er Raven game, most of you will have that game coming up next on the NFL on NBC, and it's another good game. The Houston Oilers take on the Miami Dolphins. Check your local listings for the game in your area. So Seattle from the line 43. Friesz gives it to Broussard, and Broussard, bang, quickly brought down at the 40-yard line. Clock under a minute left. Reggie Brown, the rookie out of Texas A&M, gave him a shot.
Good play by the rookie. He shed the blocker there and took on Lamar Smith and took him down, or Lamar would have had a much bigger game.
Friesz's pass in and out of the arms of Joey Galloway, and that's a pass Galloway should have caught. Ryan McNeil on the coverage.
Galloway goes and picks it, looking at the ball. It must have been the ball. Galloway's got the speed. Ryan McNeil is respecting him. Comes back to the ball. Must have taken his eyes off it a little bit. You don't see that too often from Joey Galloway.
Seahawks want to keep this drive alive for at least a chance for Todd Peterson to attempt a field goal. They're well out of his range right now. They need to get it inside the 35 if he's to have a shot at all. Friesz's pass almost picked off far sidelines. That was Corey Raymond who had his hands on the ball, stepped in front of Galloway, and that'll bring up 4th down.
John Friesz gets some pressure from the defensive line. He had Ricky Proehl open, might have overthrew him, went right to Corey Raymond.
So Rick Tootin back to punt. Trying to pin back the Lions. Quinn Milburn calls for the fair catch at the 10. 28 seconds left. Seahawks took their opening drive right down the field to take a 7-0 lead. They got a field goal 24 yards away from Peterson to make it 10-0, but an 11-yard run by Barry Sanders in the second quarter has pulled the Lions to within 3 in a game which Seattle has dominated, but Wayne Fontes and the Lions are hanging in. Later tonight on NBC, Barry Sanders and the Seattle secondary out of bounds at the 25-yard line.
What an awareness by this guy. Gets out in the open field, he picks up some good yards, and what does he do? He doesn't, when he sees he can't go any further, he goes out of bounds. That's an awareness, that's a veteran move. That's a guy that knows what he's doing on a football field.
After a very slow start, Sanders has 53 yards on 9 carries. Earlier this season, he had a streak of 6 straight games without 100 yards. That's the longest he's gone. Majkowski complete to Herman Moore. Herman Moore out of bounds at the 33-yard line. Carlton Gray on the coverage of Herman. Herman Moore has been upset a little bit about not getting the football the last few games. We mentioned at the top he had only 11 catches in the last 3 games, and he came into this game leading the NFL among wide receivers with catches with 66 and only has 2 so far this game.
He thinks that Herman feels that they've gone away from things that have been successful. They've got 2 playmakers on this offense, and that's Herman Moore, and they got Barry Sanders.
2nd and 1. That pass complete close to midfield.
And they should utilize him. Early in the season, they were 4-2. They were using Herman, and they were using Barry. Then they got away from it, and they just haven't been playing well.
Well, they're getting it to him now.
We'll watch Herman Moore make an inside cut. They're playing off of him. Well thrown ball thrown that only Herman can catch. Robert Blackman, I mean, to Seattle's credit there, they're playing a prevent. They're going to give him that underneath in the middle, cause them to eat up some time, to use timeouts. There's only 6 seconds left.
Herman Moore this season, 861 yards, the 4th highest total in NFL history last season. The Lions' all-time leader in receiving yards and receiving touchdowns. Set the NFL record with 123 catches last year. 6 seconds on the board. Majkowski in trouble trying to get to the Hail Mary. It'll never happen. Wayne Fontes, 2 losses away from the most losses by a Detroit head coach. 63 is the record by Monty Clark, but more on his mind today, trying to snap this 4-game losing streak by Detroit. 1st and 10 for Seattle, starts at the 20-yard line. Chris Warren has not played at all today. It's been all on the shoulders of Lamar Smith, who gets the first carry of the second half and adds to his career-high total of over 100 yards thus far.
To Detroit's credit, they were able to prevent the push up front by Seattle's offensive line and held Lamar Smith to 2 or 3 yards.
Also mentioned another loss by the Lions. Another loss for Detroit would be its first 5-game losing streak since 1989, when Fontes was a first-year coach here in Detroit. Wide open down the sidelines is number 82, James McKnight. And McKnight, diving for the end zone, is out of bounds at the 5-yard line. That is the very first catch for James McKnight this season, and it seems to have caught the Lions off guard.
James McKnight was left wide open. There was some busted coverage. Look at him at the top of the screen. No one goes with him.
Ryan Stewart misses the tackle there. And then it's up to Van Malone, I believe, on the angle here to just get him out at the 5-yard line. Big play offense the Seattle Seahawks have been. Yards per touchdown. John Friesz's touchdowns 34.8. Warren has averaged 31.3 on his touchdown runs, and Galloway also above 30 yards. So it is a big play Seattle offense. They didn't get the touchdown there, but very close on the 77-yard catch by James McKnight.
While Detroit's defense has been doing a good job against Seattle's pass, they let a big play occur there by leaving a guy open. Looked like Ryan Stewart didn't get over quick enough, or the cornerback left James McKnight a little too early, gave him Friesz a wide open target, and he capitalized on it.
James McKnight had 6 catches last season. That is just his 7th career catch. As you take a look at McKnight, remember Brian Blade's inactive today, so McKnight taking advantage of an opportunity and another chance to look at the injury.
Oh, hey, you see it right there. Run that back just a little bit if we could. You see him twist his ankle right as he stops.
Stewart already has an interception in this game.
Watch his ankle right there. Right there. His ankle twists a little bit. Looks like he's running off the field on his own power.
First and goal for the Seahawks at the 5-yard line.
Put Seattle in terrific field position. 5-yard line, first down.
And this dome has gotten awfully quiet in a hurry.
They had done a good job of keeping them out of the end zone, except for that first drive. And allow this big play to put them in bad field position for Detroit.
Lamar Smith, nowhere to go. Detroit there to meet him. Henry Thomas was there. Also Van Malone coming up from his free safety position. Second down and goal. So Lamar actually loses a yard there. Now stands at 101 yards in this game.
A good job by Detroit's defensive front in pushing the offensive line back, preventing Lamar Smith any cutback lanes. That's what they haven't been doing thus earlier in the game. They did it in that play. Second down and goal from the 7.
Friesz to the end zone, wanted Galloway thrown low and behind him. Third and goal. Corey Raymond on the coverage for Detroit.
Galloway's top of the screen. Corey Raymond's giving him the pressure. The ball is just thrown behind him.
John Friesz has had a couple of big ball games recently, just 7 of 15, 124 yards and an interception. Last week he threw for 263 yards against Minnesota. Had a huge game against Houston, threw for over 300 yards. Third and goal, looping it up to the end zone, and that'll be incomplete, just throwing it away. Ricky Prohl in the vicinity, but Dennis Erickson's team will not be able to take advantage of the huge pass play to James McKnight, at least not for a touchdown, and Todd Peterson will come in to attempt the field goal.
Detroit's defense does its job after allowing the big play, preventing the touchdown, and causing them to attempt the field goal. Friesz is not throwing the ball very well this game. He hit James McKnight on the long one, but those last 2 throws, Joey Galloway could have easily been a touchdown. And
Peterson just gets it inside the upright. That nearly ricocheted the opposite way. In fact, it looked like from the angle it was going, there would be no way it would bounce inside to the left, but it does. And Seattle lengthens its lead to 3. Opening moments of the second half from Pontiac, Michigan. The Seattle Seahawks 13-7 lead now over the Lions. They take advantage of a big 73-yard pass play to James McKnight. Peterson gets the field goal, and Glenn Milburn takes it out again for Detroit, and another good return by Milburn to the 33.
Milburn causes some excitement when he touches that football. He knows how to run with it, slashes. Watch from the end zone as he catches the ball. His blockers in front of him do a good job of maintaining blocks. They get on their guys, just give him some lanes to run through, and he does a good job of taking them.
Glenn Milburn led the NFL with a 27-yard kickoff return average last year, and he's got 4 returns for a 31.5-yard average today. So he's given the Lions good field position to start off.
See if they can start to capitalize on it.
As they begin this one from the 33. 12:26 left in the third quarter. That is Metzelaars in motion. Barry Sanders to the left side, across the 35, still on his feet. Turns it into a good gain, up close to the 38. 5-yard gain for Sanders, brought down by Michael McCrary.
They do a good job of stringing it out. But Sanders just keeps on working, He's a patient running back. He's patient. Runs in there as well as being a strong running back. Guys think they're hitting him low, but he's such a short guy. He's only 5'8", and they think they're hitting him around the waist. They wind up hitting him around the shoulders, and he just keeps motoring.
Majkowski, Sanders in the flat, puts a move on, gets it close to another first down. Corey Harris finally brought Barry Sanders down along with Terry Wooden.
Like
but some more good footwork by Sanders gets him close to the first down marker again.
Watch Barry Sanders there. He's coming out of the backfield. Majkowski looks downfield, looks it off, throws it to Barry. I wouldn't want to be Corey Harris right there. He's just holding on. Makes a pretty good play. It's 3rd and short.
Just short of the first down.
There's no backs in the backfield here. Look for the quarterback sneak, maybe. Yeah, no running back.
And Majkowski sneaks it across for the first down. You're right, there was no secret to what was going to happen there.
Yeah, there was a quarterback back there. There was no running back. Barry Sanders winning the motion out. Spread out the defense a little bit. Run the quarterback sneak up the middle.
Maybe what's even more amazing as you take another look at the replay.
You've got the two big guys, Cortez Kenny and Sam Adams, in there. But all you need is a half a yard or so. They were able to get that.
Even more amazing about Barry Sanders is his yards per carry career average.
Pretty impressive.
Which is 4.9.
Second only to Jim Brown.
They don't give it to Sanders as Majkowski's pass in and out of the arms of Brett Perriman, but he comes up with a football for the Detroit first down.
That's a situation where you say he made an easy catch look hard. Going to isolate on Brett Perriman here. Takes it down the field. Defender gives him the inside position. Tips it up. Selwyn Jones just can't get there quick enough to prevent him from rebounding his own pass.
Lions on the move here. Their opening drive of the second half. At the Seahawk 43. Sanders. Inside the 40, flag comes in after Barry was knocked out of bounds.
We're going to have a holding call here on the wide receiver, Johnny Morton. The wide receivers, Dan, for Detroit.
Holding. 87 offense, 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
Are some of the best blocking receivers in the game. Talked to Wayne Funtz about it. He says they teach these guys, they emphasize these wide receivers. Herman Moore. On the left of your frame, you see Johnny Morton right there. As his guy turned completely around Corey Harris, it's a very good tackle. That's a form tackle if you're a defensive guy, but offensive guys can't do that. But these wide receivers are very good blockers. They're a large measure. When Barry breaks through the line of scrimmage, he has a lot of long runs because of his wide receivers, and Barry recognizes that fact.
Sets the Lions 10 yards back, 1st and 20, fake to Sanders. Majkowski trying to set up a screen. It never developed. It appeared he wanted to get Barry Sanders for the screen on the left side, and it just ran out of time.
Well, the only problem with that play from a defensive standpoint is that all 4 of the front 4 guys read screen. So they went to where the screen spot was, and Majkowski was able to sit back there and kind of make a decision. It's not very good. In the end zone, you'll see him. Cortez Kennedy reads it right away. Sam reads it. Look at Sam Adams reads it and runs right away from him.
It appeared that Sanders was a little bit confused on whether he was actually going to get the screen. Never really turned around for Majkowski. 2nd down and 20.
Screens are difficult. Screens are very difficult play. Require a lot of timing. Got a flag here.
And it should be a delay of game
Prior
call
to snap,
against Detroit.
Offense.
And that will move them back
penalty,
even further.
You get that flag, early flag from the back judge. That usually indicates delay of game. Detroit was moving the ball very well. Now they're shooting themselves in the foot with the holding call and now the delay of game.
Holding call, which negated the Barry Sanders pickup, moved him back 10 for 2nd and 20. Now another delay of game call, 2nd down and 25 for Detroit from the 42.
Watch these
7 penalties, 66 yards.
Dan, watch these two inside guys, Cortez Kennedy, Sam Adams.
Majkowski steps up in the pocket. Sanders is in the right flat. Another flag comes in.
That's called running out of your shoe right there.
And if this flag is on Detroit, that's called an abysmal series here by the Lions.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer.
Nope.
Number 99 needs it. 15-yard penalty.
Seattle being aggressive. Majkowski's running. McCrary comes in there.
That was a little late.
Took 2 steps afterwards. They're going to protect the quarterback. There were 2 steps after Majkowski threw the ball. McCrary hit him. They're not going to tolerate hitting the quarterbacks. They've become much tougher. I've never seen it called as tightly this year, Dan, as it has been this year, with protecting the quarterback and the emphasis on staying away from the head. Don't hit them low. Don't hit them late.
That's one way to get out of a 2nd down and 25 situation.
Usually one of the only ways.
Majkowski has Perriman again, and Perriman's got another 1st down. Corey Harris on the coverage of Perriman, who is becoming a popular receiver now in the 2nd half for Majkowski. 4 catches, 51 yards.
Majkowski drops back. He's looking to him the entire way. Playing some zone. Selwyn Jones is back there at the cornerback. He's just giving him too much room. He respects his speed, respects his moves, but he's got to play him a little tighter for Majkowski, who he's proven in the past that he's a quality quarterback in this league, can deliver the ball to him.
Barry Sanders out of the backfield, and the give is to Eric Lynch. And Lynch with just his 2nd carry of the season. Ron Rivers, another Detroit running back, was inactive today, out with a calf injury, and so Barry Sanders was the only back other than Eric Lynch to have a carry today. Eric Lynch, though, had just 1 carry coming into today's game. But Barry Sanders back in the Lion lineup on 2nd down and 8.
Barry Sanders is the playmaker. You've got to get him in the lineup. They've got to give him the ball, either handing it to him or throwing the ball to him.
They don't give it to him there. Majkowski into the arms of a Seahawk, Corey Harris. And Harris dragged out of bounds at the 38.
Majkowski makes a poor decision here, Dan. Coverage is there, standing right in the way.
First pick for Harris of the season, and it comes at a key time as Don Majkowski had the Lions on the march, and it ends with a Harris interception. Majkowski is disappointed, slamming the phone down after throwing the interception which stopped the Lions' drive. Quarterbacks coach Greg Landry up in the booth. Down Friesz to Lamar Smith, and Lamar Smith is tackled behind the line of scrimmage. And no wonder Majkowski's so disappointed, Bart. The Lions come out with an impressive drive, and it ends on the interception from Majkowski, who's been pretty sharp, 12 of 17, but the interception stops the drive in its tracks. Scott Mitchell
had a good chance at least getting 3 points. And from the interception, they get no chance at all.
Lamar Smith takes another crack at it. This time gets 2 or 3 yards across the left side before Reggie Brown brings him down. Again, Chris Warren has not stepped on the field today for Seattle. A bruised knee in practice this week. We were told before the game that it would be a game time decision whether Chris Warren would start or even play, and I imagine if Lamar Smith had not been nearly as effective as he's been, we would have seen Chris Warren, but I guess no need to see him at this point.
Would have been a much more difficult decision anyway to keep him out of the game.
13-7 lead for the Seahawks. Friesz hanging in over the outstretched arm of Ricky Prohl.
Detroit's defense, after the interception, holds tight, forces Seattle to punt the ball.
So Rick Tootin into punt. Once again, Milburn back standing at his own 13. Good high hanging punt by Tootin, driving Milburn back to the 7. Starts right, goes left, beats another Seahawk tackler, brings it up to the 15-yard line. Return of 8 for Milburn. And that is where Detroit will start.
We've got a flag down on the field.
A flag has been thrown. And that's an ineligible man downfield.
Guys leaving too early before the punt. You've got the 2 outside guys that can leave before the ball is kicked. Everybody else has to wait until the ball is kicked before they can cross the line of scrimmage. You would think Detroit's going to force Seattle to punt again.
Ineligible downfield on the kicking team, number 32. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, 4th down.
So they'll move back, the Lions, or rather the Seahawks, and give Milburn another chance.
Smart move. Middle of your screen. Starts running too early. Just gets down past the line of scrimmage.
Oscar Gray just took off for the races a little bit prematurely.
Just a little. Glenn Milburn has been creating some havoc amongst the Seattle coverage guys. They want to get the ball in his hands again. Good kick. Very good kick.
Fair catch this time called by Milburn at the 21-yard line. So Detroit's good previous drive ended at an interception. Maybe they can sustain one to get closer to Seattle. Lions with another chance here. Don Majkowski had an ankle operation on his left ankle in the offseason. He said it hurts him to plant it, and thus he's developed a sore right arm.
Sore elbow because he won't follow through, and he's been thrown with too much upper body. But he says he takes an anti-inflammatory, a shot, half hour per every game, called Toradol.
Takes a shot there at Johnny Morton. That is complete. Morton brought down at his tracks by Robert Blackman. 5:32 left. Seahawks with a 13-7 lead.
This is the kind of offense, except for the interception, that Detroit has been. They were so successful in running last year, letting Barry Sanders hit some holes running, taking the quick passes to the wide receivers, letting the wide receivers do some positive things. And to get into a little more rhythm here, if they can eliminate the mistakes they've made, they might do some good things.
Turns and gives. Barry Sanders finds some room on the left side. He's got a first down and gets the extra effort across the 35. Robert Blackman finally brought him down, but Barry Sanders beginning to find a little rhythm after a slow start. He's got 11 carries, and he's up to the 70-yard mark.
You really don't know where the hole's going. Barry steps up, looks like he's going to the middle, but then he takes off to the outside. Pete Metzelaars does a good job of taking the defensive lineman, blocking him inside. Here you see his rushing average, second only to Jim Brown.
That is amazing. Emmitt Smith, along with Barry Sanders, the only active players on that list, a minimum of 2,000 rushing attempts. Majkowski passing to the right side, and that is a nice pass caught by Herman Moore.
In talking with Wayne Fonts yesterday, he said Herman Moore has the best hands of anybody on the team and anybody he's seen. Herman Moore goes out, makes a comeback. Nice leaping low catch. Catches all with his hands. Very good hand-eye coordination by Herman Moore.
Stretches out his 6'4" frame. The Lions 2nd down and 3 from their own 45. Moving the ball again. Barry Sanders trying to make something out of it on the right side, and looked like the Seahawks had him shut down for the first down, but he picks it up. Blackman again brings him down.
They've got the hole shut off. Robert Blackman comes up on the outside on the left side. He's coming up. There's nobody there. They've shut it off. There's Blackman ready to make the tackle. Thinks he's got him. Still got him. Still grabbing him. 5 yards later, he brings him down in the first down.
You know, he has just 3 100-yard rushing games, and we say that when you're talking about a guy like Barry Sanders, just 3 this season.
He's got a 6.3 average today on the
Detroit. That's their first team timeout.
On the 12 carries.
And the Lions are so much more successful when Sanders goes over the century mark. We'll be right back. Well, it's been talked about so much this season, the embattled Wayne Fontes. Very important game for him and the Detroit Lions at 4-6, trying to snap a 4-game losing streak. Majkowski on a first down, can't find anybody downfield, so tucks it underneath and gains 5 yards to the Seahawks 45-yard line. But there is Wayne Fontes. And as you heard NBC's Will McDonough earlier today on the pregame show, he said that the word is out that Wayne Fontes must not only get into the playoffs, but win a playoff game, or he is gone. That's the word from our crack information man, Will McDonough, and that is also the word locally here as well.
Well, the columnists have been on him for years. They call it the Wayne Watch.
Barry Sanders cuts into the secondary of Seattle, and now it's a foot race. Finally knocked out of bounds at the 11-yard line. Selwyn Jones on the stop of Barry Sanders, and that might have got him over 100 yards.
Barry Sanders did that entirely on his own. Cortez Kennedy, right here in your screen, comes through. He's supposed to run to the other side of Cortez Kennedy. He makes a tremendous cut. Cuts to the outside. You see the downfield blocking by Herman Moore. That's why Barry Sanders is considered the greatest back to have ever played this game. There are some people that will debate it, Dan, but you watch a run like that, and it's hard to argue.
That'll do something for the average. 116 yards now for Sanders. Majkowski to the end zone, and a grab by Herman Moore. What a grab by Moore. Touchdown, Detroit.
Herman Moore might have gotten away with a push-off on that. Carlton Gray's over there complaining about it. He went to the official. Herman Moore's got those great hands. Coaches have told the quarterbacks, throw it to him. I don't care if he's covered. Let him jump. Let him catch it. Carlton Gray's complaining to the official that he pushed off, made the separation.
Couple of big-time plays by perennial Pro Bowlers. Barry Sanders, who gets loose to set up the Herman Moore touchdown reception. And now is Jason Hansen in for the point after to put the Lions ahead for the first time this game.
Well, we talked about earlier, you've got two big play guys on this team. Herman Moore being one. See that little push-off there? He gets a separation with Carlton Gray. That's illegal, but as long as they don't call it, it counts as a touchdown, which they got and took the lead.
Herman Moore, the 6-yard touchdown reception from Don Majkowski. The Lions with their first lead of the game. It comes with 1:52 left in the third quarter, and all of a sudden the Dome is awoken. Steve Broussard awaiting the kick from Jason Hansen.
Crowd is getting into this game now.
From the 1. Finds a seam and gets it across the 25-yard line. We mentioned how important this game was, and including all of the games down the stretch for Wayne Fontes. He is the Teflon coach in the NFL. He has survived many seasons here, and he's done it with great finishes. There is the longest tenured coaches, active streaks in professional sports. Only Marv Levy in the NFL has been around longer than Wayne Fontes, and the sign there, this turkey's done. I don't think so quite yet.
Not quite yet, is it? A little premature. There's a little bit of life left in that coach and in this team.
Lions pretty much got to win 6 straight at least, and a fumble by Friesz. I think it's recovered by the center, Mawai. Kevin Mawai wraps it up. Near disaster, though, for the Seahawks.
Couldn't really tell what happened. The ball bounces way up in the air. He's fumbling with it all the way. He's just trying to get it. Mawai's alert enough to recover it. They usually said if the ball goes down, it's the center's fault. If it comes up, it's the quarterback's fault.
All of a sudden, the Seahawks look pretty inept on offense after that impressive opening drive to start the game when it looked like they'd be all over Seattle or Detroit today. Friesz wings it out to Mike Pritchard, and Pritchard has the first down, and he's close to midfield.
Pritchard is a big play guy. He's a former first-round draft choice. Played in Denver. had a lacerated kidney when he fell on the ball. He's had a few problems. Pritchard's a guy that can make a play. Catches the ball, makes a good turn up the field, and he's got some speed when he gets into the open field.
Very first catch of the game for Pritchard. He takes a break. Galloway to the left side, and now Prohl to the right side for Friesz. 1st and 10, ball squarely at midfield. Seahawks trail at 14-13. Lamar Smith adding to his 100-yard total quickly into the Lions secondary. Picks up a first down for Seattle as the waning seconds of this third quarter run off.
The coach is going to look back at this game, and Detroit's going to look at that, and they're giving too much cutback. They're not being disciplined in their defense.
End of 3 in Pontiac. The Lions with a 1-point lead, and we're right back after these messages from your local station. Seahawks on the march, 1st and 10 from the Detroit 36. Down goes John Friesz.
Big play by Luther Ellis. Luther with a monster rush, getting a push on Kevin Mawai, who pushes the center back. Mawai steps over to get to Luther, and Luther pushes it. Watch the center come back. John just can't even get out of there. His center's coming back so fast.
Just catapults.
Luther was almost non-existent last year, first rounder from Utah. They played him out at end. He felt uncomfortable. They've moved him inside this year. He's been much more productive. He's had some sacks. Last year he had none. He feels much happier in there.
He had 2 sacks last week. Picks up another one today as flags come in from every direction.
Hard count from John Friesz to get them to jump. Top of your screen. Looked like Porsche might have jumped a little bit. Let's see if they call it on the offense, though.
False start, offense, number 84, prior to the snap. 5-yard penalty, second
That'll
down.
be on Joey Galloway.
That will drive a coach crazy when you've got a guy out, a wide receiver, not even involved. It's not that important that he gets off the ball right at the snap to have him jump. Sometimes you can understand when it's the interior guy, you've got other defensive linemen, you've got to get set in your position quick. But a wide receiver, it's a little frustrating for a coach.
Scoring by quarter, Seattle has not scored a touchdown since the opening drive of the first quarter, faced with a 2nd down and 21 here. And Rick Meyer is in the game for Seattle at quarterback, replacing Friesz, and he gets it off to Lamar Smith, and Smith rips off another big gain, loose in the Lions secondary, inside the 30-yard line. Rick Meyer played for the first time since being benched 5 weeks ago, making a brief 4th quarter stint last week, and comes into the ball game in place of John Friesz, who is obviously shaken up.
Right there. John Friesz looked like he's been limping since the first quarter when he got his ankle or his knee hit. It hasn't been real effective today. Hasn't been accurate. They're over there talking to him. Doesn't look like he's comfortable out there.
Big pickup on the play, 3rd down and 2, and Lamar Smith surging ahead. He'll pick up the first down.
That's a big pickup when you got a 2nd and 22. Friesz takes a hit a little bit earlier. Gets stepped on, looks like. You see him bouncing. Looks like his left foot, his left knee, his left ankle is sore.
Like he's holding his right knee there in the area of the knee.
He's not comfortable with it. Meyer's in. They have the first down, a big pickup in that long distance situation.
Friesz has been knocked around. Meyer in control. Play action. Goes to his right and inside the 25. The pass is complete to Ronnie Williams.
This Detroit defense has been much more active this second half, or at least since that first drive. Tend to be running around a little more. They are giving up some yards here and there, particularly in the rush, but they're not allowing Seattle to get into the end zone. They're doing a
catch of the season for the tight end Williams. As you take a look at Tierlink, well, there's a new shirt, what you changed in the locker room to begin the second half, but it's well soiled here in the 4th quarter.
He's sweating up a storm, and the closer the game, the more he sweats probably.
Meyer on 2nd down and 9 over the hands of Mike Pritchard. Well, let's get a Colts-Jets update as we head back to New York and Greg Gumbel.
All right, Dan, the Colts have scored twice in a 1 minute, 3 second span to grab the lead. This is the second touchdown. Frank Reich picked off by Eugene Daniel, who goes 35 yards for the score. It's a 23-15 lead. Colts over the Jets. 5:46 to play in the third, Dan.
All right, thank you, Greg. 11:51 left in this one. Detroit with a 14-13 lead. Rick Mirer has replaced John Friesz at quarterback for Seattle. On the draw, Steve Broussard trying to juke another Detroit defender. Gets it inside the 15-yard line. What a run by Broussard.
Quick feet, very quick feet. He keeps those feet moving. He keeps them moving north and south. Picks up 15, 17 yards. Simple draw play. Should expect it. They're waiting for him. Broussard makes the cut. He makes Ryan Stewart miss him. He's able to pick up that first down. Broussard is a guy that's come in. He's made some big plays for them when they need a play made.
First down and goal for Seattle from the 7. You can see what Broussard has done on the ground and through the air today.
They've got 5 defensive linemen in the game. They want to stop up the middle, and they do it here.
Lamar Smith stopped for a loss behind the line of scrimmage. Mike Wells, number 95.
Watch the penetration from this front group. They'll push these guys back a little bit. They're not giving it a hole. You get the penetration from the defense. There's nowhere for Lamar Smith to run with the ball. That's a big play on a first down when you're in scoring position to create that negative yardage. Now they've got to bring in the wide receivers. They go into a spread out offense.
And a timeout. Has been called by the Lions. Interesting timeout called there. We'll take a break.
A little confused.
Back in Pontiac, John Friesz being looked over on the sidelines. It does appear to be his right knee. In the meantime, Rick Mirer leading the 10th play of this drive. It's shoot up more than 6 minutes. Lamar Smith gets it down inside the 7-yard line. It was Rick Mirer who began the season as the starter for Seattle, but he threw 9 interceptions and just 1 touchdown, and he was yanked as the starter, and John Friesz has taken over ever since. There's a quarterback comparison as to what the two have done.
Dan, look at the turnovers. Touchdowns to the interception ratio. Big difference. Mirer started out horrible with 1 touchdown, 9 interceptions. You can't do that in this league and help your team win.
Third down from the 7. The delay to Steve Broussard, and he's inside the 5-yard line.
Pretty smart call at this point. You think it's an obvious passing situation. Hole was there. Lions reacted quickly enough to prevent him from getting into the end zone. What really was the difference on this drive and preventing them from scoring was on the first down play, getting that tackle for the 3 or 4 yard loss and getting them on the defensive rather than letting them run their entire offense.
So in comes Peterson again to attempt another short field goal. They'll spot this one at the 11-yard line. Already 2 for 2 today. 21-yarder on the way for Peterson, and that is good. And the Seahawks have regained the lead with 9:05 left in the ball game. Rick Mirer is now the quarterback for Seattle with an injured Friesz. Seahawks looking for their 4th straight win. Have the lead 16-14 after the field goal by Todd Peterson. John Friesz. Now they're wrapping up the right leg.
They're taping it up with the tape called Elasticon. It's got a little elasticity in it. Hopefully they can stabilize enough to get him back out there.
In the meantime, Rick Meyer's taken over quarterback. Peterson's kick taken by Milburn at the 6. And Milburn turns it into another pretty good return across the 20 to the 22-yard line. Ronnie Harris makes the stop for Seattle. Coming up next on some of these NBC stations, Game 2 of our NFL doubleheader. Most of you will see the Ravens take on the 49ers, and in another big late game, Miami taking on the Houston Oilers. Check your local listings for the game in your area.
Vinny Testaverde for the Baltimore Ravens has been having a good year. It's going to be tested today against that tough San Francisco 49er defense.
Don Majkowski, the starting quarterback for the Lions today, in for the injured Scott Mitchell. And he begins this drive. Goes to the 25. Barry Sanders across the 25 and across the 30 to the 31. Brought down by Terry Wooden and Corey Harris.
Barry frustrates a defense. You think you have him, you think you've played him well, and you turn around, he's picked up 7 or 8 yards.
There's the record. When Barry Sanders goes over 100 yards, he has 123 yards today. Remember, he came into this game needing 152 yards to become the first player in NFL history to rush for 1,000+ yards in 8 straight years, so he's got his eye on that milestone, but more importantly, the Lions win. Majkowski, quick drop, got his man across the 40, and across the 45 goes Johnny Morton. Morton carried 2 or 3 Seahawks with him on his way to another first down.
Johnny Morton plays the slot receiver, which is the inside of the 3. He often gets lost when you start worrying too much about Perryman and Herman Moore. Johnny Morton's a little unhappy in this offense. He wants to be featured a little more. He'd like to get the ball a little more.
Well, if anybody has the right to be disgruntled, it's number 20. Anybody has a right to say, give me the ball more, it's this guy right here, and for that reason.
Another nice, and anybody that...
I don't understand it, Bart, how these wide receivers, even a guy like Herman Moore, much less a guy like Johnny Morton, who's been in the league 3 years, can talk about getting the ball. I mean, you know, Barry Sanders is the focal point of this offense.
Barry Sanders is a playmaker. Simply put, he's a playmaker. He's the guy, he's got a good hole there. The line does a good job for him, but he makes the play. Talking to Fonz, he says the thing that separates Barry from every other back that he's watched Barry for years, is Barry's vision. He's got such great vision. He sees things around him. He sees where he has an instinctive feel for the game.
At the Seahawk 42 with a 1st and 10. Majkowski looks left, throws right. Herman Moore's got it. Puts on a move. Picks up some more yards inside the Seahawk 30. So the Lion offense beginning to click.
Nice quick passes. Will isolate on Herman Moore here. Defensive back gives him plenty of room.
Blackman went for it.
Blackman's going for the interception, and Carlton Gray standing off of him.
6 catches, 55 yards now for Herman Moore. Another first down for Detroit.
Majkowski throwing the ball, Dan. He's throwing the ball very well.
Lions down 16-14, 6:40 left. Barry Sanders. Not much at all.
One of the few times that they've been able to stop Barry Sanders at the line of scrimmage.
Lions have just 1 timeout left. The Seahawks have all 3 remaining. Remember that defensive timeout that the Lions called because they were confused a short time ago. That could be a timeout they would have liked to have had at this point. But
Wayne Font says, I'm getting down there. I'm going to give the ball to my man. I'm going to allow him to make something happen. He's done it so often for him. Don't desert him now.
Lions trying to avoid their first 5-game losing streak in 7 years. Majkowski can't find anybody. Runs the ball for maybe 2 or 3 yards, but that'll bring up 3rd down. Sam Adams, number 98.
Sam's been a force. He's going against Jeff Harding's the rookie from Penn State. Is he from Penn State?
He is.
The rookie from Penn State. Jeff is a guy that held out of camp. He missed the first month of the season due to a contract. There just wasn't enough money for a first rounder. They didn't have as much as they thought. He came in 8 days later and started. He's been holding his own. Sam is having a pretty good day, but I think Jeff's doing a good job against him, considering the rookie status.
Big 3rd down conversion attempt here on 3rd and 8. Swings it out to Barry Sanders, but he's stopped in his tracks quickly. And that was Darrell Williams, number 33. Brings up 4th down.
Majkowski had to throw across the formation, across the field. The ball's in the air a long time. It gave the Seattle defenders a chance to get there and make a good play on Barry Sanders.
And for the first time this game, we'll see Jason Hansen for Detroit. He has attempted only 2 field goals. This will be just his 3rd field goal attempt in the last 6 games. We'll mark this at the 32, so a 42-yard attempt for Hansen.
He's only had 9 attempts for the season.
This for the lead. Certainly with enough leg, and he splits the uprights.
Ouch. I remember seeing one like that last year when I was with the 49ers. We came in here, he kicked one, put him in the lead. We wound up losing the game.
He's got the Lions in the lead now with 4:32 left. Well, it certainly appears that John Friesz will not re-enter the Seattle lineup. Rick Mirer warming up with the game on the line. 4:32 left. Seahawks trail Detroit 17-16. Hansen gets into this kick after connecting on a 42-yard field goal. And does he ever get into this kick?
The adrenaline is flowing. You got a flag. Looks like it might be against Seattle. We'll see. Let's let the officials make the call. A lot of times you got to look at when the flag is thrown and where it's flown. That many times gives you an indication of what kind of a penalty or what kind of infraction may have been incurred.
May have been incurred. I like that.
May have been.
There is no infraction on the play. Touchback. 1st and 10, Seattle.
How about no infraction incurred?
They just get in the habit of throwing the flags down, but there's no infraction. There was a flag down.
So when we come back, the Seahawks will begin at Third Rock from the Sun and Boston column. Then one serial killer can terrorize a city, two can bring it back to its knees. America's toughest cops are going to take them down. Brian Dennehy and Charles Dutton star in an NBC world premiere. Jack Reed, Death and Vengeance. That's tonight on NBC. William Clay Ford, the owner of the Detroit Lions, watching from his box, seeing if the Lions can snap a 4-game losing streak. Wayne Fotts rumored to be out of here at the end of the season.
We saw the two of them chatting earlier before the game.
Rick Mirer and a quarterback for John Friesz. From the 20, Joey Galloway. Mirer threw it behind Galloway, and Galloway couldn't haul it in across his left shoulder. Corey Raymond on the coverage for Detroit.
Seattle fans had their hearts pumping on that one with an out pass thrown behind the receiver. Could be a very easy pick for Corey Raymond.
Sprained right knee is the injury report on John Friesz. Does not look like he'll come back into this game. It's up to Rick Mirer and the Seahawks.
Detroit has their nickel package in there. They've only got one linebacker and they got 6 defensive backs.
2 wideouts to the left, 1 to the right. Mirer chooses the right and goes to Galloway. Tries to dive his way across the 30 for the first down.
Ball's on the 30. Looks like his first down.
It'll be very close. Ryan McNeil, the right corner, covering Galloway. Another look.
Watch up top on your screen. Circle Joey Galloway's going to come out and then come in. Rick Mirer throws a nice pass there. A little 3-step. He drills it. A good throw. You like to see that from your quarterback. Rick Mirer's a talented guy. He's made mistakes early in the season, but he does have the ability to get the job done.
As you can see, Mirer picks up the first down for Seattle. Lamar Smith with a big hole up the middle, gets close to another one. Lamar Smith has been the running attack for Seattle today with Chris Warren out injured, and that brings his total to 128 yards for the game.
Good run. Watch the defensive line. The offensive line will come up. They'll make an attack. Smith comes this way and he cuts back. Most of his yards have come on cutback plays. There's the hole with the cutback. Pepper Johnson, the middle linebacker, number 99, didn't get off the block in time.
Warren has watched it all from the sidelines. Watching again as Smith gets his number called. Fumbles the ball. Fumbles the ball. It's loose. The Lions have it.
Got it.
No official signal yet, though, but it appeared the Lions had 2 players all over it.
Unless there's some magic there by Seattle. There were 2. You said it. There were 2 Detroit guys that had the ball. There's a nice little scrum right there. Fight for the ball. Thing is, when you're in a pile like that, you're still fighting for the ball. You can't see it from up here.
Now Meyer's indicating that the Seahawks have it. And Nemers makes it official. Seattle's football.
Seattle made a big play. Let's see who comes up with it. Whoever comes up with it doesn't necessarily mean that's who you got. He's fighting for the extra yards. He takes on. Benny Blades hits him right. Does a good job of fumbling. There's the ball fumbled around.
There's Lamar
looks like he gets it back.
It did appear the Lions had it, but Lamar Smith scraped it away perhaps.
Benny Blades hits him right on the ball. The ball bounces up. Fighting for it.
Right there, it appeared Detroit had it. It appeared Reggie Brown.
Lamar's the only guy. There's 3 Detroit players on the ground. Lamar Smith's the only one near the ball. Makes a good job. He fights for that thing and gets it back.
Seattle's hopes alive inside Detroit territory. Lamar Smith on the right side inside the 45-yard line before he's dragged down. Clock continuing to roll. 2:37 and counting. The Seahawks with all 3 of their timeouts left trail the Lions 17-16.
Good play here by Derek Graham. The right guard, he pulls out, makes a nice cut. Derek Graham, number 77, does a nice job of cutting Benny Blades down, picking up some positive yards there.
Seahawks looking for their first 4-game winning streak in 10 years as we approach the 2-minute warning. Meyer gives it again to Lamar Smith.
I think that's Steve Broussard he replaced.
Excuse me,
Lamar.
that is Steve Broussard, number
That's a
31
2-minute
for
warning.
Seattle.
You just look at the guys. I mean, they have that distinctive style. Broussard reminds me a lot of a guy that I played with in New York, Dave Megan, with a quick feet, smaller guy, moves around, very effective.
2-minute warning. Seventh play of this drive for the Seahawks. It's had its scary moments, including the fumble by Lamar Smith, but he recovered his own fumble, and now the Seahawks in business just outside the 41-yard line of Detroit at the 2-minute warning.
Dan, during the course of a game, there are usually a half a dozen to 10 plays that are what you call outcome determinative, and it's very obvious with only 2 minutes to go, 3rd and 4, that this is definitely one of those situations. They're not in field goal position yet. They've got to pick up another 10 or 15 to get there. This is maybe even 2-down territory for Seattle.
Critical play. Broussard gets the call. The Lions there to meet him for a loss.
Good reaction from the defensive backfield from Ryan Stewart. Good job by Ryan Stewart and Greg Jeffries of coming up and finishing off Steve Broussard. He takes it, he wants to take it off tackle. Stewart and Jeffries will not allow it. They force the play.
Now,
Seattle's in a position.
You got to go for it.
Got to go for it. And it was only a 3rd and 4th, and now it's about 4th and 5 or 6. Lost a couple yards.
This will be the play of the game. Rick Meyer wants to talk about it, so he'll burn one of Seattle's timeouts.
That's their
And not only that, but
it'll be a 30-second.
you had a situation where you're within 2 minutes. You've got 40 yards to go for the touchdown. I mean, they let 30 seconds run off the clock before they even called the timeout.
Wayne Fonts looks a little more relieved after that good defensive play, which sent Seattle back to create this 4th and 5 situation. But coming up next on some of these NBC stations, Game 2 of our NFL doubleheader. Most of you will see the Niners take on the Ravens. Others will see Dan Marino and the Miami Dolphins travel to Houston to take on the Oilers. Check your local listings for the game in your area. That's coming up next, right here on NBC. There was a terrible start today for the Detroit Lions. It looked like the Seattle Seahawks were going to run all over Wayne Fonts. That's how easy the opening drive looked for Seattle. Seattle built a 10-0 lead. The Lions closed it to within 3-point lead at the half on a Barry Sanders touchdown run. They've exchanged some field goals, another touchdown by the Lions, and right now 17-16. Detroit leads it, 4th and 5, last gasp for Seattle.
Well, Seattle's got to make something happen here.
There was movement on the left side of the line. It looked like James Atkins, number 74, moved again. And if it is number 74, it'll be the second time this game he's moved prematurely.
It's difficult, sometimes disconcerting to an offensive line when during the course of the game it's been
Prior to the snap, false start, offense, number 74.
It is Atkins
5-yard
again.
penalty.
that's a
Fourth down.
big mistake at a wrong time. Watch Atkins here, he'll move a little bit. Can't do that. But during the course of the game, it's been very quiet, Dan. I mean, there hasn't been a lot of crowd noise, and suddenly the crowd gets up, they get really loud, and so you're used to hearing the quarterback, and now you can't hear him as well. Your instinct is you want to be off the ball quick so you don't give up the sack because it's obvious passing down. You got a 4th and greater than 10 here.
Meyer needs 10. Carlister Crumpler came up with it. A flag comes in. Nice juggling catch by Crumpler.
Back judge throws the ball, throws the flag. He could call this offensive. We'll see.
Meyer seems to think it's on Detroit. What a grab by Crumpler. Backpedaling, hauls it in.
Holding. Defense number 36. Penalty is refused. First
Defensive
down.
holding on Benny Blades.
Ouch.
That's a first down for Seattle at the Lion 31.
Benny's had a couple of those today. End zone, watch. Carlester Crumpler swims Benny Blades right down the middle of your screen.
What a catch
Bobbles
by
it up and
Crumpler.
catches it. Is it? Not only that, but it stops the clock and they don't have to use a timeout.
That's a good point, Bart. 1:11 left. Seahawks with 2 timeouts left. Myers swings it over. It is complete to Oscar Gray, number 32. Clock continuing to roll. Seahawks should call a timeout here. No, they'll hustle back.
They're in field goal range. Todd Peterson's going to be the guy that they're going to go to if they don't score the touchdown. Looks like they're going to let the clock. They want to get maybe 2 more plays off, get some positive yards. They may not throw the ball again. They may just run it and then turn it over to the kicker, Todd Peterson.
Todd Peterson kicked a 54-yard field goal last week against the Vikings. It was a career long for him and tied the second longest in Seahawks history. Lamar Smith gets the call. They get Peterson even closer in as Smith gets inside the 20. Clock continuing to roll. This is good clock management by the Seahawks.
Timeout. Seattle.
As the clock stops with 26 seconds to go.
Seattle has 1 timeout left. They've got a first down.
They're in good shape.
They've got 25 seconds. But what I'm saying, this is a situation where you might want to go for the end zone. You've got time, even if you don't even make it in the end zone.
Lamar Smith, that was his 32nd carry. He's got 153 yards as you look at John Friesz come out onto the field offering encouragement.
We'll see what kind of confidence that they have in Rick Myers.
There is Lamar Smith in his 3rd year career high day today. 32 carries for 153 yards and a touchdown. It came in the opening quarter.
But he's proven his point when he said he's the best backup running back in the league. He certainly has made a case for that statement today and has supported that statement.
The ball is spotted at the 19-yard line. It would be about a 36-yard field goal where it is spotted right now for Peterson.
Well, Peterson's 4 from 4 from 30 to 39 yards this year. So he's been pretty accurate from that point. However, you always want it to get closer. You'd prefer to get a touchdown. I wouldn't be surprised to see them going at it here. We'll see if they have the confidence in Meyer. They're staying in pretty tight.
I would imagine they just want to get Peterson a little closer in. This is 1st and 10. Well, Lamar Smith, that was not a good play. Smith dropped in his tracks. They lost yards, and that'll move Peterson back for his attempt.
Lost 4 yards. Detroit is an interesting team. They up there, they'll give up a play, they'll give up position, and then suddenly they make a play, they do something, he's going to wait to the last second. This will be the last, the kick will be the last play of the game. But Detroit, they'll give up those plays, and then suddenly they do something positive, and now Seattle's in a much more difficult situation. That 4 yards is big at this point.
This is really an ironic situation. Remember, a couple of weeks ago, it was Houston and Seattle. El Del Greco was lining up for a game-winning field goal, apparently for the Oilers, when Michael McCrary came in and blocked it, lateral to Robert Blackman, and all of a sudden, Seattle was a winner. I can't help but think about the same situation here.
Seattle has won 3 games in the last 2 minutes thus far this year, where they've been behind. In Miami, had a long pass, a run by Lamar Smith for a touchdown. Against Tampa Bay, an 80-yarder to Benny Blades, or to Brian Blades. And then the Houston game.
All right, they spot it at the 41-yard attempt. Detroit calls a timeout and wants to ice Mr. Peterson a little bit here, huh?
Trying to put a little pressure on him.
Peterson is 6 of 8 this season on 40-plus yard field goal attempts. 14 of 20 in his career. He's already 3 for 3 today, but those are all field goals of 24, 25, and 21, so he really hasn't been tested from a distance today, although we mentioned he did kick his career-high 54-yarder last week against Minnesota.
And he has not missed from inside the 40, but this is going to be about a 42-yard field goal attempt. Is that right? Right about a 42-yard field goal attempt, 41.
Well, you know, Wayne Fontz's stomach has to be swirling just a little bit right now. He's perhaps just this 42-yard field goal kick away from losing his 5th straight. Let's see if Todd Peterson can get it through, though, from 42 yards away for the Seattle win.
This is a big kick for the kicker. High snap.
High snap. But Peterson, no good. It's no good. And the Lions have held on to win it.
And a high snap from Kevin Mawai.
Rick Tootin made a good effort to try to get it down, but it's obvious it pulled Peterson's rhythm off.
Anytime you mess up with the rhythm, the timing of the kick, it disturbs the kicker. That's what you had here. Seattle's in a position to win it. They can't do it. Detroit comes back. A team that wasn't playing well early. The Blades brothers were there talking to each other.
Kevin Mawai is the long snapper on kicks. That was a high snap from Mawai, and Peterson unable to get it down. Here's Tootin handling it.
Tootin's high and inside. Now, you don't want the kicker to really think about it, but he's got to see. It messes up the timing just enough. The ball goes to the right. He doesn't get through the ball completely. Had plenty of distance.
This just barely outside the right upright.
You could see, the ball is so close to the upright. You see the shadow. There's the quarterbacks, who are very good friends, by the way. Meyer and Friesz have been tight, been able to stay together. Obviously disappointed.
So the Lion losing streak is over at 4. The Seahawk winning streak over at 3. Detroit hangs on.